Can you guys hear me? Oh, I don't have to type. See, I've just spent so much time watching Try Vegan and I had to type everything. And so now I'm like, now I feel like I have to type my responses, but I can just talk, right? Hey, Marissa and Jamie and Jordan. Yeah, you guys were all in Try Vegan's broadcast. Thanks, Marissa. You guys have Try Vegan's orders ringing around in your heads. Thanks, Tina. Hey, Try Vegan. So just so you guys know, usually on Sundays I do a mukbang where I a mukbang and I usually eat watermelon. But today I'm gonna eat these. I'm gonna eat these apricots. Um, and I can't tell you much about them. I know that they're organic, and I'm pretty sure I don't know where they're from though. And I should have done a little bit better checking out. Yes, I'm vegan, Marissa. And hey, Matt Blender. So yeah, so the structure of this is I usually just eat and talk. And so, but I feel like this is an opportunity to be a little bit more interactive and hopefully a little bit more fun. And I had some things that I wanted to talk about, but I'd love to hear from you guys what you'd like to talk about. And maybe if some of you are new, I can tell you just a little bit of background about me so you kind of know where I'm coming from. Does that sound like fun? And now I'm going to start eating. Cool. So um, I started as a theater artist, and I had been, I trained. I'm trained as an actor, and had been working in an actor as an actor, living in New York City for a little bit, and then I started working at an organization that worked with young people from a challenged community, and I really fell in love with that work, knowing that my skills were being put to use, helping to transform the lives of young people. But I was a little dissatisfied with the organization because although they were committed to working with young people from challenged communities, there wasn't really an analysis of um, why why they were perhaps experiencing the the challenges that they were experiencing. Another interesting thing about the organization is that there were a lot of very wealthy people who were connected to the organization, and the we would take the young people on trips where they would spend time at these extremely wealthy people's estates, and then we'd take them back to Hell's Kitchen, where many of them were living in public housing. And I'm not sure where you guys are from, but in New York City, public housing is basically a cluster of, high rises where everyone living in those high rises is, living pretty close to the poverty line. So there were contradictions there that I thought weren't being addressed, and it made it often challenging to work with the young people because we'd have kids in programs, and then the issues in their lives would actually get in the way of the work that we were trying to do. And then I felt like we were kind of at odds. Like it was like there was this energy that was like, no, be with us, don't be with your real life, which is like your family. And that to me was pretty problematic. Oh, something that might happen. I've never done this, streaming live. Usually I'm just me by myself. And my sense is that the interaction might be enough of a distraction that I might choke to death. So if that happens, somebody call 911 and send them to alt space to revive me. Yeah, I hear that. I hear that, vegan metalhead. And the idea of having somebody that you can go to, that's, you know, an alternative to your, family, or what, somebody who's an escape from what happens. Sometimes, being in the household can be really stressful, but I think, like in my work now, I would look at it as, trying to trying to make change, not just in the life of like that one person, but like what's going on with their family, and how can the needs that the challenges that that family is facing, how can those be addressed, and how can it be done within the context of a community that's working together to improve things collectively, so people don't feel like people don't have to feel like it's them against the world, which I feel like is part of, our dominant culture. We're all divided, and this is my experience that people are divided. They live in their tiny units, take care of that tiny unit at the expense of anything else, and I think that that's a destructive way to live. I'm trying to see who I've missed who's come in. Um, Winter Wolves, welcome, welcome, Sabini. Hey, Kearney. So you guys, my pal Kearney is here. Um, and I was really hoping that you were going to show up, Kearney, because I wanted to show you something. As you would say, bam. So for those of you who are like, why is he holding up this plant? So this is a sweet basil plant that grew from a seed that Kearney brought me from Quebec when he came to alt space. So yeah, a little bit more about where I am right now. So I'm at a space. I have a space in Detroit that's a house that I've been renovating, and it's been in collaboration with a lot of amazing people, and it's a vegan space, and it's really for a space for learning. It's a space for people to come and work on projects. The focus of the work is sustainability, and I'll just type in the I just typed in the the URL to the website. But anyway, Kearney was here for 2 weeks. I think you were here for 2 weeks and made a very lasting impression. And in fact, the room that I'm sitting in right now, Kearney helped me to do some renovation with some drywall and some painting. And he also hung a canvas. I don't know if you can see, but behind me there's this canvas. I'll kind of show you. There's a canvas hanging, and there's my light. So there's that canvas hanging there is gets used for screening. So I found a used, really great quality projector that has a really short throw to make a really big image. And so people come over, and when Kearney was here, we watched Forks Over Knives, with a friend of mine who's been going vegan. And I've been documenting his vegan journey. My friend is Ethan, and I've been documenting his vegan journey on my channel in a series called Convertible. Don't say Canadian bacon. Yes, Canadian basil is much better. Yes. Thanks, vegan metalhead. Yeah, I ended up watching Forks Over Knives 3 times in that week, Jamie. Just Jamie. I don't know how to shorten people's names without like being offensive. Hi, is it Ramigam? Oh, Ethan's watching, you think? Via YouTube? Short A. That's, oh, I don't know my short A. I should know what my short A is because I need to go get my Kenyan and knot. So long A is Rami. So Ramigam? Okay. Thanks, Jamie. I'll call you Jamie. I'm trying to see if I've missed anyone. So cool. I hope that's enough background. Thanks, Mad Blender. I'm glad you enjoy the food for thought videos. How many of the 30 videos I posted in September did you watch? I actually posted more than 30 because when I post the convertible series, I post that in sets of 3. So I probably did more like 39 videos or something like that. Where were you living in Michigan, vegan metalhead? Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a challenge having a space that was, I thought it was going to be a challenge having a space that was, entirely vegan. Especially since that I'm trying to offer the space as solidarity housing. And basically it's just a space if someone is coming to Detroit to work with an organization or to do work in the social justice, work that's related to social justice, they can stay at the space. Well, that's the hope. But it means that while they're here, they have to be vegan. I mean, I don't like what they do. I do care what they do out when they're outside of the space and when they're like doing food for themselves. But I'm hoping that the time that they spend in this space being vegan will give them just a taste of what it's like. That it's not that much of a challenge. And then, of course, I'm constantly eating really delicious things in front of people. And sharing it with them. So my hope is that it lets people see that being vegan isn't about like scarcity, but it's about abundance. Hmm. Yes, Clarice, it's called Altspace, and I put a link, but it's altspacedetroit.org, and there's more stuff about me there as well. And I write some articles and post some articles to it as well. So, but yeah, we're going to be here forever because it takes a long time to eat an apricot. I'm still just, mm, yeah, I believe that on a large scale that people being vegan is a necessary step towards sustainability. And when I say people being vegan, anyone that can. And there may be people who can't be vegan, and I don't mean in a frivolous sense like, oh, I don't want to, but are just challenged. During the 30 videos and 30-day challenge, Ashley from Electric Mayhem 87, she's another YouTuber, posted a great video just talking about what foods you're not allowed to buy on food stamps. And in at least one state, you weren't allowed to buy like dried beans on food stamps, which doesn't make any sense to me at all. Um, and a lot of foods that are, I guess, I don't know. It was just a surprise to me to find out that when you're purchasing food using food stamps, what you can buy becomes limited. So it's not just a question of being able to afford it, but it's a question of whether or not you can use those dollars to purchase those items. You just got IKEA has a grow your own greens kit, Sabini. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Kearney, fill us in. Let us know what's up. You guys, Kearney recently started posting videos to his own channel. Have you posted any new videos, Kearney? I've completely lost track of what people are doing. Hmm, trying to read. So you guys, so I wanted to talk a little bit, and I started talking about, part of this topic on Try's channel. The I don't want to dwell on the faux pas that Fully Raw Christina may have made when she painted her body black, which ended up meaning her face was painted black. I didn't know about Joe Vegan doing the imitation of controvertible snitch, and apparently had gotten permission. I don't think it's really a question of intention on the part of those people um, doing blackface or painting their faces black, but it's really about an awareness of how things are going to be received. And there are a lot of people who are going to be very sensitive to blackface only because the actual black face was used to as a tool of oppression for a long time to subjugate African people or people who are just diasporan people. And so when it's being used, if you're not aware of that history, then you end up making a reference to something that you may not understand. And the only way to know that history is to be concerned with the diverse experiences of the people who might be in your audience And I think somebody was saying that ignorance is not an excuse. You know, you're a YouTube, you know, you're providing you have 800,000 subscribers. You know, part of the work is just, you know, having at least someone. I'm guessing with 800,000 subscribers, you probably have some help, and just making sure that whoever that help is represents like a lot of diversity, right? So, you know, not surrounding yourself with people who, you know, think exactly like you, or have the same exact background as you, or have a, a similar background with you, but really working with people, like having someone to be that eye to say, oh, this might affect people in that way. And I think it's really hard to be living in Western society and not know what blackface is, and that blackface might negatively impact people. Everyone that I know that has seen it is someone who um, enters spaces with a really open heart and really thinking the best of people. So, you know, I wasn't engaged in any conversations where people were bad mouthing Fully Raw Christina. And again, I hadn't heard about Joe Vegan's, blackface imitation of Controvertible Snitch. But, thoughtful people are going to, think, I'm not going to say thoughtful people, but, I feel like assuming the best intentions and just understanding that the person was misinformed or wasn't informed, right? Assuming the best intention that, I obviously don't think that Fully Raw Christina was out to offend Black people, or that Joe Vegan was out to offend Black people. People just don't understand the impact of their actions sometimes. Yeah, yeah, vegan metalhead. I think a lot of it has to do with just having a sense of continuity, a sense of history. And I'm not saying everybody has to go and do that kind of deep research, but if you're someone who's in the public eye and your public is diverse, or you make the assumption that your public is diverse, you just want to make sure that you're thinking about how they might be impacted by those things. Um, so yeah, you guys are going at it. You don't even need me. I should be quiet and just go back and read the conversations that you guys are having with each other, because they seem pretty interesting. Ah, Kearney, are you giving gardening advice? Hi, Vegan Queenie, and I'm trying to see if there's anyone else that's new that's showing up. Jess, Michelle, VSV. Hey, you all. Sarah, 28027. Welcome, all of you guys. Thanks for coming to the stream. So, hi, Lynn's, not that crazy bitch G. Cool, welcome. I'm just meeting a lot of people today, so it's great to meet you all. Hey, Crystal Gray Matter, 7 Crystal Gray Matter. So, um, one of the things that I like to do on Sundays is kind of talk about an issue that might be a little bit controversial, or I don't know, might be looking at something that is controversial, but trying to like put a different spin on it. And I've been, I came off of doing 30 videos in 30 days and trying to keep up with, there were five of us that were doing this 30 videos in 30 days challenge, at least that four of us who were collaborating on doing this challenge. And so I was trying to watch all of their content. And so that was it actually was a lot of watching. So I missed a lot. And it was such a relief. It was great to not be caught up in some of the pettier squabbles that go on. And, I'm not sure what good people think it's going to do, but my sense is if I'm going to go through the trouble of making a video, my hope is that it's going to transform someone, or it's going to even if it's just about personal transformation, um, using this platform to like level up or move forward. So like I'm constantly thinking about like how can we move past something. What have I been observing on YouTube? What have I been observing in the world? What have I been confronted with that has been a challenge? And how can we like figure it out a way by sharing um, the issue and talking about it a little bit. And I rarely try to kind of offer solutions, but I just kind of throw them out there as a challenge and maybe share some things that I've read on it. So one thing that I want to talk about is, generally speaking, I'm going to call it in general the vegan drama, as I think it's something that people recognize because it's being used so much, like that terminology, the vegan drama. I don't want to talk about any person in particular, but I want to talk about the nature of the drama itself and looking at it in its most destructive form. And that's one way that it's destructive, is that we're not talking about things that matter. So if it's about a vegan channel, it's not helping people go vegan. It's not helping people understand why it's important to go vegan. It's not sharing information about what animals go through and the impact on the planet and the impact on our health. So none of these things are being addressed in a vegan video that's about drama. It really is the thinnest, slimmest, like little I want to say veneer of veganism, but really it's about what I think is, our dominant culture to like compete and destroy, to conquer people. And, so I wanted to talk about vegan drama from the perspective of how it might be seen as like internalized like hate, like self-hate. Because I think when like there are things that individuals do to themselves that are destructive, and I'm just wondering, like, is it possible that that kind of self-hate that exists on an individual level to exist on a community level? And that's just a question that I have. Is it possible that the kind of self-hate that exists on an individual level can exist in terms of a community? So, and today I want to talk a little bit about the vegan community, the vegan YouTube community. How might drama and any of those activities that are destructive to the vegan community, how might they be representing our collective internalized, and I'm going to use the word oppression because that's really the term that I use a lot to talk about all of these things. And then the question is, are vegans an oppressed group to begin with, where we might even need to, keep ourselves in check? And I've made videos in the past about, becoming like, I've made videos in the past about like respectability politics with vegans, and I'd never really heard anybody talking about respectability politics in terms of vegans. But why when a vegan is in a situation with people who choose to eat meat, does the vegan make all of the changes? And yes, it might be that the dominant culture is about the consumption of animal products, but the vegan is sort of doing the thing that's more about self-love, self-care, care for others, care for the planet. So why would that person move, like, hide, disguise themselves as the average person in that setting to make to keep people who consume animals comfortable? Oh yeah, yeah. One of the students who was here from I'm sorry, from SUNY Purchase. SUNY is University of New York, and Purchase College is one of the colleges in that network. And so a group of 15 SUNY students were here for 2 weeks. They were actually working on a project somewhere else, but they stayed at AltSpace. And yes, they were vegan while they were here, which everybody thought was going to be a challenge, but they loved it. And one of the students did this painting on just a piece of wood that was in the backyard. And there it is. It's kind of cool, yeah? I think it's me, but I'm not sure. Mm. So, Vegan Metalhead, I'm going to go back and see what you guys have been saying about this. Um, yeah, vegans are the minority right now. Vegan Metalhead says vegans are the minority right now. Uh, Vegans are the minority right now and misunderstood, but not necessarily oppressed per se. Yeah, that's another issue about veganism, is that vegans are sort of advocating for another oppressed group, right? The vegans aren't necessarily the oppressed group. And so, that's another complication. Um, that is another complication. So I wonder what people think about that. Yeah, I don't think it's fair to say vegans are oppressed. Um, I hear that, but I want to kind of want to disagree with that a little bit. Not that vegans are their lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that people, if not oppressed, suppressed, right? It's like people don't want veganism to emerge um, as a dominant group, right? People want to keep it normal, and by people I mean like the dominant culture. So when a vegan shows up, that person becomes targeted, sometimes targeted with violence, violent language, threats of being ostracized, which I think being ostracized in a society where we need each other to live is a form of violence. So vegans are subjected to oppressive action. Um, Vegans are subjected to oppressive action, and as they're a minority group that you know it's like it's how is it any is being vegan really any different than, and I don't want to, this is terrible, I'm going to get myself in trouble, is being vegan different than, say, having a religious faith? It's something that you do because of your beliefs. And I believe in Canada, there were actually laws that were passed, including vegans as a group that's protected from discrimination in the same way that other groups are protected because of their beliefs. Yeah, people get angry if you mention being vegan. Yeah, which makes the world very hostile if you're a vegan and you know that your very presence in the world is making people uncomfortable. It can make the world seem very hostile. Hmm. Yes, vegan queenie. Yes. So people are, this is it's harmful behavior that vegans are asked to participate in, even when they don't want to. Yes. Um, oh, I can't pronounce your name. Blur pint the dank. Suppressed, oppressed, repressed. I'm not the best with words, but I know suffering when I see it, and I know animals really need us vegans to wake up. Yeah, meat eaters see animals as things. So try vegan. Well, legislation was introduced to criminalize parents introducing your kids to the vegan diet. Yeah, absolutely. And that's happened in a few places, right? Germany, I think, and Italy have laws on the books now or are, have legislation in place, right? We were, for dinner and I said chickpea and she said, I'm dying. I'm trying to brainwash her and kill her son. Um, and that we need meat. Yeah. So all of this, so again, again, to kind of pinpoint the discussion a little bit. So with this idea that vegans end up being targeted because they're, it's a radical action to go against the dominant culture, and the dominant culture sees animals as things, sees animals as commodities, and sees animals as food. And so existing within this hostile environment, is it possible that we begin to turn that aggression in towards ourselves and start to behave aggressively towards ourselves? And I'm not sure how it shows up on a personal level for vegans, but it seems to be showing up on a community level, at least on vegan YouTube, with so many people buying into this destructive action directed specifically at vegans by people who label themselves vegan. And as it seems to me, in some on some level, the people labeling themselves as vegan are really only doing it as a license to then attack vegans. But if there were someone who was not vegan, who was doing what these people are doing to individuals in the community, or even shifting the focus away from what's important, and that's the liberation of the animals, um, but making people aware of the impacts of consuming animal products on the planet, on their health, not to mention the suffering of 56 billion animals every year that are killed to provide food. And I don't even want to think about how much of that ends up in the trash, right? That people don't even eat. Okay. Hey, Jesse. Mm, I'm not making a dent. I've eaten two of these apricots. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think I'm going to finish. So I'm checking out. Winter Wolf says self-hatred in minority groups is fairly common. Yeah, I didn't want to like get into like quotes and things like that, but if anybody's familiar with Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed, he spends a significant amount of time in the first chapter, or maybe it's the second chapter. I think it's the first official chapter. I think it follows his like prelude, preface to the book. But he spends a significant amount of time in that first um, chapter talking about internalized oppression and how where we are now, we don't need the oppressor to do anything because we've learned how to act as the oppressor for ourselves, um, after so much time spending so much time being the target of oppressive action. We learn how to just Once the oppressor isn't doing it anymore, we pick it up and do it ourselves, just because that's what we are used to. But Paulo, I suggest that you read the Paulo Freire and not listen to my simple oversimplified explanation. But he talks about the overseer, who is one of the people who are being like you have the slave overseer who gets a position of power and is as brutal as any slave master, right, with that whip, right? They want to show that they are as good an example. And I think what it comes down to is, um, as the target of oppression, one of the things that oppression does so well is it dehumanizes us. And so the target of that oppression begins to agree with that assessment of themselves as being somehow less than human. And I want to walk carefully here because I don't want to see being less than human as um, conflating being less than human with being like an animal, because I don't see us in that hierarchy, but certainly diminished as far as their humanity. And so the oppressor then becomes the model for what it means to be a human being. And so I'll throw out, why do we, what is wealth? The way it's demonstrated in our modern societies as the accumulation of things, but an attempt to be like, be more like the oppressor. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there as a question. Yeah, I'm down with that. Yes, blur pint the dark, the dank. Yeah, I want to agree with you that health, yes, health should be like health and care, like and loving relationships and community. Like these are things that we actually need to thrive, but things that we've been alienated from. We've been alienated from our care for ourselves. We've been alienated from care for our community, and instead we it's like we've been conditioned to chase the poison pill. um we've been conditioned to be self-destructive, and I'm a big proponent for I statements, but I'm putting these out there as thoughts for you to challenge. I'm not putting this out as like the truth. I want to know what you guys think about that. Mm. Winter Wolf said, I want to cut the legs off the table so we're all sitting together. I want to hear more about that. I want to think more about that. Unless you're the wealthy among wealthy, wealth can become more of a prison than freedom. Yeah. The pursuit of wealth in that, sort of according to the dominant model, that wealth is, something could constantly be pursued, and it doesn't feed this way. It only sucks energy. It sucks money. It sucks time. Um, you know, it sucks relationships. Yeah. It's hard to be at a table when you're seen as not even being a factor in the equation. Hmm. Or do we need to build a new table? Do we need to stop pursuing a life where we are seated at a table where we don't even like what's being served? What a perfect metaphor. As a vegan, hmm I see Neo Tarek Phoenix. I don't know how to use this app. Neither do I. So join the club. We'll figure it out. Hey, new here. What's my story? So I did a little background and talked a little bit about myself. I'm right now I'm spending a lot of time as a YouTube content creator, and so I usually do a long video on Sundays. And so I thought today, instead of doing a long video where I'm sitting by myself and eating, that I would just broadcast since I was going to take a chunk of time anyway. Just more about me. I'm an activist. I'm an organizer, living in Detroit right now. Some projects that I'm working on, in case you guys are interested. I'm working with a group called Solidarity, and they're based in Highland Park, where a few years ago the city removed 1,000 streetlights. It's not a very big city. It's a city that is located within the city limits of Detroit. So it's a city within a city. There are two cities like that within Detroit. One is Highland Park and the other is Hamtramck. And so they removed these lights and left a lot of streets in the dark at night. And so there's a group that's been organized to use bulk purchasing power to purchase street lights that then people locate on their property. And so that someone on the block decides who's going to be the person that has the light, where's the best location on that block. And so that block might buy their own street light, and then the block collectively owns their own street lights. And because they're solar powered, there's no added expense. And they last for, I think, 7 years. And so that's one organization that I'm working with, just trying to get people clean, renewable energy to be accessible to everyone. And they're in a big fight right now with DTE, which is the Detroit Electric. I don't know, it's the power company here, but I'm not sure what DTE stands for. DTE is really kind of the villain in this, because apparently power companies in cities are allowed to be monopolies. And so they end up having immense power, literally, figuratively and literally, immense power. And so one of the things that they're doing in Highland Park is, instead of doing underground wiring, which is what is, now common, they're going to put up lighting posts and overhead wiring, which is extremely dangerous. And they're going up next to schools and other public buildings. And so that's one project that I'm working on. Another one is I'm working with a group that does cooperative development, and they develop businesses that are run by the people who work there. And then the last thing that I'm doing is I still am a practitioner of popular theater. I practice theater of the oppressed, which was kind of born out of Paulo Freire and pedagogy of the oppressed. In fact, the person who founded Theater of the Oppressed was a colleague of Paulo Freire. And so I'm organizing the 2017 Theater Pedagogy and Theater of the Oppressed conference in Detroit, which is kind of my big project. So that was an answer to tell us a little bit about you for the person who was new. Sorry for the hey, just going me. So one thing that I'm going to figure out, if I'm going to continue doing these streams, is how to have people guest up, because I'd love for you guys to jump up here and be doing some of the talking too. I know that there's some content creators who are watching, so I'd be really interested in having you guys, share a little bit about yourselves. Just Glowing Me has a great channel of I'm going to say just musings and commentary musings that are so thoughtful. I really appreciate them. So do check out Just Glowing Me's channel. Hi, Nels M, Terry Tees. Trying to see who's new. Yeah. Okay, I didn't want to tell you guys this about the apricots. Somebody said the apricots are making them jealous. They're not the best apricots. We'd be done. We'd be done now if these were really good apricots. But it's okay. How long have I been vegan, and what made me go vegan? So I initially went vegan. I don't even want to say I went vegan. 6 years ago, I had a friend who started a juicing company in Brooklyn, and they gave me like a free trial. So I did this 3 day juice fast thing, whatever. And at the end of that juiced fast, I felt very new. I felt very different. And this is probably not a good thing, but I was concerned about what I was going to put in my body after doing that cleanse. And so I started doing some research, and the first thing that I came across was the raw lifestyle. And I found the book. Actually, I was in Montreal on my honeymoon. Long story. I was in Montreal on my honeymoon when I discovered raw veganism, and decided right then to be a raw vegan. Actually, I was just a raw food person, because at that time I was still eating salmon. And I lived that way for 2 years and sort of continued along the path of veganism, but not really labeling myself as a vegan. I just was eating the way that I knew I needed to eat to maintain my health. And last summer, I had a really bad food summer where I was just eating really unhealthy foods. And so I went back to Brooklyn and decided that I needed to get on top of my health again. And at that time, I started watching more videos on simply veganism, and a shift happened. It just happened. So ethically vegan, really, for I'm going to say a year now, but mostly plant based for 6 years. Mhm. So, Aminos is a food share app for vegans. Okay, I will check that out. Yeah, Brooklyn is awesome for vegans. Yes, great. One of my favorite restaurants is Luann's Wild Ginger. Is anybody? But there's one on Smith Street in Brooklyn. I guess sort of in Carroll Gardens. So any Brooklynites out there, Smith Street near Pacific, Luann's Wild Ginger. There are other Luann's Wild. There are other Wild Gingers that I've heard aren't as good. So go to Luann's Wild Ginger. It's an awesome place, and there's just like so many resources, and just in New York City in general. Um, you could eat every day at a different vegan spot, um, and at least it would be a month before you had to repeat. Wild Ginger, yes. Yeah, there's a couple of Wild Gingers in Brooklyn. There's one in uh, what's that other trendy neighborhood? Uh, it's that other trendy neighborhood, Williamsburg. Yeah, thanks, Winter Wolves. Yeah, Williamsburg. Yes, Soho, Chelsea, and Park Slope are definitely other trendy neighborhoods, but the one I had in mind was Williamsburg. Williamsburg. Yeah, yeah, cool. So what else is going on? So you guys who are just discovering me, just joining for the first time, if nothing else, do check out the Convertible series. I've been working. It's actually a collaborator of mine, and because AltSpace is a vegan space, it was pretty clear that if this person was going to be collaborating with me on this space at all, that they were going to have to explore veganism. They're just going to have to explore veganism, just because, you know, in terms of unessential people in my life, and I hate to even use that term, I'm trying to limit the number of non-vegans that are just in my space, that are close around me, just because it's difficult. Family, people that were friends before that I already had previous relationships, nothing like that. But I'm really trying to explore spaces and be in spaces and build my vegan community here in Detroit. And so this person is going vegan and we're tracking it. And so, like last week, we actually went to the doctor and they got blood work, and we're going to see the results of those in a little while. So, yeah, if you want to see, like sort of follow me with someone who is not vegan as they're on their journey to become vegan, that's a great series to watch. It's called Convertible. Williamsburg also has lots of ethnic nannies and beautiful brown squirrels. Oh, I don't get it. I hope we can still be friends, though, big screen bird. Oh, yes, Jesse, you noticed. I'm glad. I was hoping somebody would notice that I'm wearing a Florence and the Machine t-shirt. Yes, I am a Florence and the Machine fan, and I got to see um, Florence and the Machine, the last day, I believe it was the last day of the tour in Brooklyn. And it was amazing, 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 amazing. Yes, yes, Florence is a goddess. And I had to choose between having Florence's face on my chest or just this logo that says Florence and the Machine. And I don't know. My thinking is that a lot of people would just be like, why? Oh, I don't want to go there. Why are you wearing that? Who is this woman that you have on your chest? And why her? I think the only person's face that I wear on my body is Grace Lee Boggs. I've been hearing about Reggie Watts. And so you're the second person that's telling me that I need to check out Reggie Watts. So, okay. I should check out Florence and the Machine's work on the Final Fantasy soundtrack. I will check it out. Is it something from her other albums, or is it new? Is it material that I maybe haven't heard if I haven't heard that soundtrack? Oh, cool. I will definitely check it out. Yes, and beard. Yeah, what kind of music does Reggie Watts make? So Jesse Jumpkin is asking, is anyone here from the UK? Do we have people? I would love to know, where are people from? Ren Skywalker's in the UK. Terry Tees. Hey, Scranton, Pennsylvania. I'm from Philadelphia originally. Somebody's here from Cali/Arizona. Somebody from Oregon. Maryland, holding it down. Yeah, I love Philly too. Giving Philly some love. Rhode Island. Sweet little Rhode Island. Sweet little blip on the map. I love that city. I mean, I love Providence. North Carolina. Nice. Boston. All right. Yeah, so Jesse, it's the London has a veg fest. I would love to. I would love to come to London. Um, Marine, formerly a privileged vegan, is going to be at the London Veg Fest. I think she's in Paris right now, but she's going to be. Yeah, I'm in Detroit, in Michigan. Yeah, I love Marine too. Her birthday was 2 days ago. So if you didn't go wish happy birthday, it's not too late, I don't think. So I have to tell you guys, this was very different. This was very different from what I normally would be doing on a Sunday for a video. But I have to say that I've really enjoyed being connected to everyone. And yes, the 22nd and 23rd of October. So London Veg Fest is the 22nd and 23rd of October for people who want to catch that. It's coming up soon. Thank you for sharing those details. Yeah, so my thinking is I want to have more stuff around me to share with you guys. So, oh, for those of you who didn't see, little little thing there. I'm wondering, Mad Blender, you should solely make this thing donut every Sunday. I'm guessing there's a little typo and do it. Yes, do it every Sunday. Yes, I think that I will continue to do this on Sundays, but this is my first time. I'm not apologizing. I've had a great time with all of you, but I think I want to maybe share more resources ahead of time. So maybe we can have like a paragraph or something that people can look at, you know, and talk about, just so that the information, so we have like a shared place to get like the information. So we're talking about something in common that's of interest to people. Certainly I love to take suggestions. You can always, I also have an email address that I share with people. It's called Ask Me One. I'm typing it in at regflowers.com. So if you ever want to like get in touch with me by email, you can send me an email at askme1@regflowers.com. And I, take requests. Definitely people are usually will leave a request for something that they'd like to see me cover as a topic on the channel. Please do check out the YouTube channel. I think I'm pushing 450 videos at this point that cover everything from travel to veganism to social justice to renovating a house in Detroit. So I hope that those are things that people would, like to be a part of. I'm thrilled for the turnout today as well. I didn't know if I was going to be alone. And you guys don't tell people, but I didn't finish my apricots. But I know now going forward not to eat that. So also taking requests for what to eat next week. What should I eat next week? And I try to stay raw. So if it should be raw. That's it. How's everybody feeling before we sign out? Any last words from anyone? Yeah, Ta-Nehisi Coates. Oh, awesome. Oh, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. Eat pears, grape tomatoes, maybe. I do eat some cooked foods. I eat grains mostly, but I don't know. I mean, I've been going to Whole Foods and eating from their deli every now and then, so I'll sometimes have they'll have like a vegan curry, and I think they put vegan mayo in there. But for the most part, I try to keep it either raw or just like whole grains, that type of thing. Yeah, you guys, thanks again to all of you for showing up. It's a little after 12. I think that I'm going to try to keep these down to an hour, but again, thank you so much. I guess what I normally say to finish a video is that's it for this broadcast. Like it if you like it, share, comment, subscribe. This is Reg signing off. Love yourselves. Peace.